All right, so today we're going to be looking at modules in Canvas. So modules are how Canvas intended for teachers to have their courses organized. So most teachers decide to go by units. So like chapter 1 is its own module, chapter 2 is its own module, so on and so forth. Other teachers go by weeks to make it easier for students to figure out what exactly they missed, where exactly they need to look at things. So you can organize these however you want, just based on what works for you, your students' needs, all that good stuff. So the first thing you're going to need to do to add a module is, or to do anything with the module, is to add it. So if you've never added a module before, your Canvas course has no modules, it's going to have a real big create a new module button here to make it easy for you to find. After you've added a module, though, that button's going to go away, and so your only option is going to be to use this plus module. Either way are going to work, but for consistency, we'll use that. So when you add a module, you need to add a name to it. So I'll call this one sample module. And then you have the option to lock it until a certain date. So this will prevent students from accessing the module and everything inside of it until a certain date that you decide to pick. So maybe I don't want them to access it until the 20th. So this would lock it from them until that date has happened, in which case it opens up, they're able to do everything in there, and so on, and they're good. So we'll add the module. And then the big thing that pops up, excuse me, the big thing that pops up here is to either add files or you can add other things to it. So again, for consistency, because this will go away after you add some stuff in and go away from the page and come back. The plus sign here is how you add pretty much anything to a Canvas module. So when you hit that, it's going to default to adding an assignment. We're going to spend like a whole 2 weeks on assignments. So we're going to ignore that for now. But you have all of these different options. So assignments, quizzes, pages, and discussions, we'll cover those in different videos. So we're not going to worry about them today. But if you wanted to add one of these to a module, this would be the way to go about doing it. So we're going to start with files. Files are pretty basic. This would be just like some other kind of file that you would maybe email to somebody that you would save onto a flash drive back when we used flash drives for things, just a typical computer file. So if you don't have it currently uploaded into your Canvas account, you're going to want to click on the Create File button. Then when I did that, this Choose Files button appeared down at the bottom. So I'll click there, and then you'll need to search somewhere in your computer to find it, again, just like you would way back in the day. So I'm going to go ahead and do the course syllabus. So we'll add that in. If you have some kind of file set up, and this is kind of a more advanced thing, but if you decide that you want to have different files within your course setup, you could choose which folder to add it into. If you are interested in doing that, just shoot me a quick email and I'll tell you how to do it. Indentation, I'm going to skip that for now. We'll come back to it real quick though. So basically all I did was click File, Create File, chose the one I want, and I'm going to hit Add Item. And so it's uploaded in there now. And a few things with this. One, there's the paperclip icon over here. That means it's a file. Each different type of thing has a different icon that goes with it to help you figure out what's what. Obviously, the title of it. This check mark here means that it is published. So if this was in a published module where students could see the module, then this means that they could see it. If I uncheck that, I have a few different options. I always forget Files does this. So Files, you have the ability to publish it. You can unpublish it, meaning that nobody can see it at all, regardless of what's going on. Only available with link. That's a little more of an advanced thing, but basically if you copy the URL on a Canvas page, anywhere you're at, as long as you're not in like editing or anything like that, you can send that link out to people. And so they wouldn't be able to see this thing in the module, but if they had the link, they'd still be able to get to the file. So you could use this as a kind of like security type thing if based on what your needs. Or you can schedule availability. So you can choose a date that the file will appear and be visible. So you can make it available from the 24th and then available until. So when do you want Canvas to cut off access for your students to see it? So let's say the 31st. So here it's visible for about a week. If you leave one of these blank, so let's say I get rid of the available from, students are going to be able to see this as long as it's published or in a published module. They're going to be able to see it from the instant I hit update until January 1st, 31st rolls around. Or vice versa, if I put a date in the available from, but I get rid of this. So let's make it available from the 31st. So they're not going to be able to see it until the 31st, but it will be visible for the rest of basically until they can't view the course anymore. So you can set schedule availability if you want to limit when that file is published. For simplicity, we're going to hit publish. You also have another visibility option. Files have a lot of stuff you can do. So it defaults to inherit from course. I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know what the difference is between inherit from course and course members. Tried looking it up, couldn't find anything. But basically, if they're in the course, they can see it in either of these options. Institution members means that assuming that somebody has the link to it, they can, anybody within the institution, so for us within Wentzville, can view it. And then public means that literally anybody with the link that has a Canvas account can view it as well. In my opinion, there's really no reason to change the visibility option, but you have that if you want it. If you really want somebody else to have it, you can just share it through Google Drive. So we'll hit update, and it would save all of those changes. You also have off to the right, anywhere where you ever see three little dots, the ability to change option settings, however it is you want to describe it. So if we go to edit, you can change what the file name is. Whenever you pull it in, it's going to pull it in exactly as how you have it titled on your computer or your flash drive or whatever it is. So this is a really big title, so I'm going to change it down to syllabus. And then that indentation thing, oh, if I could spell syllabus, that'd be great. And then the indent thing, that changes where it's located kind of on your, in the module. So you have the option for no indent, indenting 1, 2, or 3 levels. I'm going to go ahead and indent it 1 level. And so if you notice, there's a little bit of a gap there. So that's files. So the next thing that we'll add is going to be a text header. This can be useful if you want to section your module into different things. So depending on how you have it organized, some people like to have all of their notes within the module. So they would upload all of their PowerPoint files or upload PDFs, whatever it is. If you want to kind of organize it for your students a little bit better, you could add a text header in there and say that all of the unit notes are within that header. Again, you have the option to indent. I'm going to leave it unindented so that we can see the combination. Most things, whenever you add them into a module, will be unpublished. Some of them, like the files, will be published. It seems kind of random as to how they decided which ones are which. So we're going to go ahead and hit the publish button real quick because I have forgotten for many classes to hit that. For the options for a text header, you really don't have much. You have edit, which opens up the exact same screen we had before where you could change the name. You have move to, so you can move this up or down, and you also have this option with files. You can increase indent, so if you pretty quickly want to decide that, oh, I wanted this indented, if you hit it once, that indents it 1 level. You can increase it again to 2, and then again, you can keep going as many indents as you want, up to, I don't know if that was 4 or 5, but you can set this up as kind of an outline thing. If you want to go back, you can decrease indent, or you can make it faster. Just go to the indent button in the edit section. So you can choose to change your indenting, or you can just straight up remove it. The files one had the same options there. And the move to. So you can decide that you want to move it somewhere. So if you wanted to move it to a different module, the first option is modules. If I had more than one module, it would pop up there on the drop-down box. So you could pick which module you wanted to add it to. Then where you want to place it. So you could place it at the very top of the module, you can place it at the very bottom of the module, or you can specify where you want to, whether it comes before a certain thing or after a certain thing. So let's say I want it to come after unit notes, or again, if I had other things in the module, I could pick, I want it after maybe an assignment that's in there or something like that. So you hit move, and it moves there. In my opinion, that's a clunky way to move things in a module. All you really have to do, these little, the little 8 dots out there, if you grab a hold of them, it says drag, reorder, or move. So you click and drag, You can move it where you want. That move thing is going to be really useful if you're moving it to a different module, which you can still do this way, but then you've got to go through like all the scrolling stuff, or you just have a really big module. But if it's something small, it's usually easier just to click and drag. All right, next up, external URL. So any kind of website that you want to share out where you would want to give them the URL or the web address to get there is what you're going to want to do here. So let's say I want this to go to the Wentzville website. So if I copy the URL and then paste it in, so wentzville.k12.mo.us is the URL. So again, the actual web page that you want Google Chrome to try to find is going to go in there. And then you can give it a page name. So I'll call this the Wentzville website. You name it whatever you want. This load in a new tab button, I usually recommend having that checked. If you don't have it checked, it'll try to open within Canvas. And so all of the other stuff that's on the Canvas page is still going to be there. So it's a much smaller window for them to use. So I'd recommend load a new tab, and that'll pull them away from Canvas. It'll open a new tab on their computer and open it over there. Again, you've got indentation just like always. So if we add that in, it starts as being unpublished. Hit the publish button real quick, and that's going to show up as a just as like a blue link for them to click on. They'll click it, they'll be able to get to that website. The last thing is external tool. So there's a lot of stuff in here. Most of this is not going to be really applicable to anything. The one thing, in my opinion, that is pretty useful is this Google Drive option. And there are two Google Drive options. This one, I think, is supposed to be labeled Google Assignments because it says collect, analyze, and grade student work with Google Assignments. So this top one is going to be the one that you'll want to use. Some of these other things are useful in the Canvas assignments section. The Google Drive seems to be, for me anyway, the useful one. So when you click it, take a little bit of time to load. If you haven't linked your Google account with Canvas yet, it'll come up with, do you want to link this account? Do you want to give it permissions? All that stuff. You do need to give it permissions if you want to do this. So you can go through and you can either go and find a certain file. So I'm going to, let's say I want somebody to be able to access my seating charts. Or you could go through, you could search just like you can in Google Drive. You can open up your folders to get where you want. But I'm going to go for the seating charts. And so I'll hit select. And then I want to hit submit after that. And then so now it knows that it's going to Google Drive. It's using this specific link to find what it needs to do. So we'll hit add item and it's there. And it pops up as an external URL because that's essentially what these are. So these are fancy ways of doing that external URL. So if you already have the thing open on your computer, it might just be easier to go to the share options, get that the sharing URL link, and then add that into an external URL. But if you don't already have it open or you can't find it or whatever, this might be a way to go. Just another thing you can do. You also want to make sure that your module is published, because if you don't have that button pushed, students are not going to be able to see or access anything in here. Then the last few things that you've got are options for the module itself. So you can click the Move Contents button. So if I had another module, I could decide that I wanted to move all of this stuff into said module. So this is not a pick and choose. This is all of this stuff is in this module, and we're going to dump it into another one. So be careful with that, especially if you have a lot and you don't want to lose your organization. Move module. Again, if you had other modules, you could move your modules around. I personally like to keep the most recent one up top. So I start with unit 1, and then whenever unit 2 rolls around, I'll move it up, and then unit 3, move it up, so on and so forth. Delete, that will get rid of everything inside the module as well. Some of the things like files and assignments and quizzes are still going to be within your Canvas course. So you're not like completely getting rid of them, but you are at least hampering the access to some of those. Things like external URLs, those are gone if you delete it. So I would probably recommend not deleting unless for whatever reason you really, really have to. Duplicate is exactly how it sounds. If I hit the duplicate button, It's going to create a copy of the module, and everything that was in the original is in the new one as well. So you can duplicate a module to get multiples. If you hit the send to button, this is for if you're wanting to share the module with somebody else. So you could start typing in somebody's name. So if I start typing in for here, I can see everybody with a date or a DAVI is going to pop up, both first or last name. So you can search either way. You could click on there, hit send, and it's going to send that module to them so they have the option to add it to their Canvas class. So for collaboration, this is a really useful, excuse me, really useful tool. Copy to. So if you're making a module for one class, you want it to go to another class. Maybe it's because you have multiple sections of one course. You didn't want to combine them at the beginning of the year. You wanted to keep them all separate. This makes your life a lot easier. So you can either type to search, or you can just go scroll through and it'll bring up all of your active Canvas courses. So let's say I want to add it into my Power Time. If you hit copy, it'll bring that module right in there. And then share to comments and comments favorites, we'll hit those later on. So that is all there is to modules. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know.